Every day, without thinking about it, we flush a toilet. We expect everything to disappear. No smell, no noise, no problems. For most of us, flushing a toilet feels like the end of the story. But in reality, flushing is just the beginning. That waste has to go somewhere, and getting it away from your home safely is not simple. When things go wrong, we suddenly notice toilets not flushing, sewage coming back up, manholes overflowing, or bad smells in the street. And that's usually when people ask, why is this happening? In this video, we will look at what actually happens after you flush, how toilets and sewage systems work in South Africa, and why problems like blockages, overflows, and even pit toilets still exist in some areas. The toilet is only the entry point to the system. Once you flush, waste leaves your house and enters a much bigger network that exists to move waste away from people, to protect health, and to keep water sources safe. Engineers call this entire network sanitation, but for most people, it's easier to think of it simply as sewage. You can think of the toilet like a front door. What matters most is not the door itself, but what happens inside the building behind it. And this system only works when all its parts work together. When you flush, waste leaves your house through underground sewage pipes. These pipes are usually designed to work using gravity. This means the pipes are laid at a slight slope so that sewage can flow on its own without needing to be pushed. For this to work properly, the pipes must stay clear and the slope must be right. Sewage is mostly liquid and it is meant to move smoothly through the pipes. When things like wipes, nappies, sanitary products, or large amounts of grease enter the system, they can get stuck. Once something gets stuck, more waste catches onto it and a blockage slowly forms. The slope of the pipe also matters. If the pipe is too flat, sewage moves too slowly and solids settle inside the pipe. If the pipe is too steep, the liquid runs ahead and leaves solids behind. In both cases, the pipe slowly starts to block. Toilets are designed for human waste and toilet paper only. When other things enter the pipe, it's like trying to push the wrong objects through a narrow tube. Eventually, something gives. In suburbs and towns, thousands of houses are connected by these pipes, quietly moving sewage away from homes every day. When pipes are clear, slopes are correct, and the system is used properly, everything works so well that no one notices it. But gravity can only take sewage so far. South Africa is not flat. In many areas, sewage eventually reaches a point where it can no longer flow on its own. When that happens, the sewage needs help to keep moving. This is where sewage pump stations are used. A sewage pump station is a place where sewage from many houses is collected when it reaches a low point. Instead of letting it sit there, pumps are used to push the sewage up to a higher level. Once the sewage is lifted up, it can continue flowing through pipes again using gravity. So, pump stations do not move sewage everywhere. They only help it climb up when it gets stuck too low. You can think of them as short lifts in a long journey. The sewage mostly travels on its own, but every now and then it needs help to get over a high point. These pumps are essential and they need electricity. When the power is on, the pumps switch on automatically when sewage builds up, and everything continues working quietly in the background. When the power goes off, the pumps stop working, but sewage does not stop coming from houses. People still flush toilets, water still flows into the system. As more sewage arrives, pipes begin to fill up and pressure builds. If the power stays off for long enough, sewage has nowhere to go. That is when toilets stop flushing properly, sewage pushes back through the pipes, and manholes overflow into the streets. The toilet did not fail. The system behind it lost the power it needed to keep sewage moving. Once sewage leaves our homes and moves through pipes and pump stations, it still has a serious problem. It is dirty. Sewage contains human waste, bacteria, chemicals, and many things that are harmful to people and the environment. If sewage were released straight into a river, that river would very quickly become unsafe. People downstream might rely on that river for drinking water, for washing, farming, or livestock. Wildlife would be exposed to harmful bacteria. Fish would die, diseases would spread. You can think of sewage like dirty water from washing a very muddy car. You would not pour that water straight into a clean swimming pool and expect nothing to happen. Before sewage can be released into rivers, it has to be cleaned. This is where wastewater treatment works come in. A wastewater treatment works is a place designed to clean sewage before it is released back into the environment. When sewage arrives, it does not become clean water immediately. It goes through several steps where solid material is removed, harmful bacteria are treated, and the water is gradually cleaned. You can think of this like washing very dirty clothes. You don't just rinse once and call it clean. It takes time, effort, and the right process. By the time water leaves the treatment works, it is much safer for rivers and for the people who live downstream. These facilities protect rivers, protect communities, and protect public health. Wastewater treatment works are large and complex pieces of infrastructure. They need electricity, skilled operators, chemicals, and constant maintenance to function properly. When treatment works are overloaded, poorly maintained, or without power, sewage cannot be cleaned properly. When that happens, the effects do not stay at the plant. They move back through the system and show up as sewage problems in the streets, in neighborhoods, and in our homes. Some of you may be asking yourselves, why do pit toilets still exist in South Africa when we have such a system? This is an important question. Yes, pit holes still exist in South Africa, not because people do not deserve better, but because flush toilets depend on infrastructure. To support flush toilets connected to sewage systems, you need long underground pipe networks. You need pump stations, you need treatment works, reliable electricity, and ongoing maintenance. In many rural or remote areas, homes are far apart. The terrain is difficult, electricity supply is unreliable, and building full sewage systems is extremely expensive. In those contexts, pit toilets are often used as a basic solution. They do not rely on electricity, pumps, or long pipe networks. They are not ideal and they are not dignified, but they are sometimes the only immediate workable option when infrastructure is limited. The real issue is not the toilet itself, it is the absence of a system behind it. Many sewage systems in South Africa were designed decades ago for smaller populations and fewer houses. Over time, towns expanded, informal settlements grew, and more toilets were connected to the same pipes and treatment works. But the infrastructure was not always upgraded at the same pace. It's a bit like adding more and more taps to a pipe without making the pipe bigger. Eventually, something struggles. When systems exceed what they were designed to handle, pipes block more often, pumps wear out faster, and treatment works struggle to cope. When failures finally appear, they feel sudden, but the causes have usually been building for years. Toilets and sewage systems are designed to be invisible. When they work, no one thinks about them. When they fail, everyone notices immediately. The smells, the overflows, and the health risks are hard to ignore. That is why sewage problems feel dramatic, even though the reasons behind them are often slow, hidden, and technical. Toilets are not just about convenience. They are about health, dignity, safety, and infrastructure capacity. Understanding how toilets and sewage work helps explain why blockages happen, why power cuts matter, why pit toilets still exist, and why fixing sewage problems is not just about toilets. It is about the system behind them. When that system works, you never think about it. When it does not work, it affects everyone. Hi everyone, the South African engineer here. If this explanation was useful, please like the video, subscribe, and turn on your notifications. Every subscription is a brick used to build the Engineering Explained house. Let's build this house together. Thank you for watching.